In today's review, we're looking at the G36C by Umarex. This is the Elite series, which I guess you would call it their high-end pro line series. There's also a competition line, which is their sport line, metal gearbox, externals not as nice internals as this. And there's an advanced series, which is your Dick's Walmart grade stuff with plastic gearbox. Ugh. But we're here to talk about the Elite today. The flash hider, orange flash hider here, United States, gotta have it. 14mm clockwise, so if you want to replace it, a G&P or an Aries flash hider should suffice. You just make sure you get one that is clockwise. But I have noticed on these that the threading is kind of recessed sort of into the handguard here area a little bit. So if you get a suppressor on a mock suppressor, make sure that the can part starts out far enough so it doesn't impede on this. Otherwise it may not thread in all the way, or you might have to get an extension. And also having a mock suppressor on this kind of makes it harder to get the handguard off, as its handguard's really tight kind of against the even just the flash hider. You also have 3 metal rails and a sling mount right here. Grip's a little fat with those on there. You can take them off. So say you just want to have a flashlight on, put the flashlight on here on this rail, then you take this rail off to make it a little slimmer. If you have huge hands, hey, no big deal, just stick some rail covers on there and you're set. But if you have shorter, stubbier hands like I do, you may want to take some of those rails off if you're not using them. And what else we got here? We have a nice sort of, this is a hard nylon plastic rail on the top here. So you can put any optic you want on there. Let's fold this over so it doesn't smack the camera. You have iron sights, so you have a nice shrouded post in the front and this open notch, so it's sort of like a pistol notch in the back. So I guess easier to acquire targets with that. And you also have a sort of an aperture one right there. And you can adjust that windage elevation, all that jazz. But it's an airsoft gun, so how well that's going to work for you, well, I don't know. And here in the middle, magazine. This is a good gun for lefties. I got a friend who's had the original version of this for years and years now. And he loves it because mag release right in the middle, just like an AK, but ambidextrous fire controls. So, really nice for lefties. Let's take this mag out. This is a 400 round mag. It is empty, but 400 rounds, high cap. Big windy wheel, wind it till you hear the loud click, and then you're good to go. They're pretty wide. Let's see, here's a Elite Force M4 magazine. As you can see, pretty big, pretty wide. So your mag pouches, you're going to have a bulkier mag pouch. If you have a dual M4 mag pouch that's not, doesn't have a divider in the middle, that should be fine for this. I've seen people run them in those Alice M16, the Alex M16 pouches, and they just cut the dividers in there. There's like 3 nylon ribbon dividers in those. You just cut those and then you could fit these in there easy, 2 of them. Or get the German surplus stuff, what have you. So you got the little pegs on the side, and what you can do with that is you just attach another magazine, and there you go. You got 800 rounds right in your hand. There are mid-caps available for this as well. We have a sort of a bolt hold open, this little button right here. So you just press that in, pull the bolt back, and it holds the bolt, which is useful for adjusting the hop-up. This front barrel right here, which is a little stiff, but there we go. Should hold the top well. So up is off, down is on. And this is, you may notice this button does not release it as well. You have to push back and it releases. This is the fire selector. If you notice, this is the new version of the Elite line G36C. It has safe, semi, double, and full auto. This has the new Aries computerized gearbox, it's more than just a MOSFET. We'll go into the guts of the gearbox. I'm going to do a video on the internals as well. And I'm going to do a video on the competition too. I think that deserves its own video as well, the competition. But, you know, it's new for 2014, I think is when that came out. So, there's that. And, oh, another thing with that is it has cycle completion. So it prevents the gearbox from getting jammed by not cycling all the way, which can happen if you kind of short stroke your trigger and you don't pull it all the way. So on this, touching the trigger, just, you know, barely, even if you don't pull it all the way, will complete a cycle. There is a battery in it, no BBs in this. I checked it ahead of time. So here, you know, on single. Also blowback. And 2 rounds, so it'll always cycle completely. I have got it to not always cycle, but that was on a battery that was pretty dead, so that was more of the battery didn't have enough energy to cycle, so it kind of got, and just couldn't do it because the battery was dead. But I just stuck another battery on it, you know, pulled the trigger, and bam, it worked beautifully. So that is new for 2014, even though I'm shooting this video in 2015. That's a nice new upgrade. Back here we have folding stock. The G36 folding stocks tend to hold up better than the Scars, I've noticed. There's just a beefier piece of plastic there. And this has cool little features like spots for your takedown pins. Put them in there. It has a rubber butt pad as well. Some sling points. And sling point there. You know what, I should show you the quick change spring guide while I'm in here. So fold the stock over to the side. It's best to take the pin out before you fold the stock to the side because, you know, the pin is hard to get to on that with the stock folded. Just a little FYI. Top tip. Then you pull down and out on this back plate here, which has the spring and guide for the charging handle. And well, you need a flathead to pull out this large flathead screw. Don't lose this screw. You'll need it because if you don't have it in there, the spring guide can wobble. And if it wobbles, there is a chance that the spring can get stuck in the gear. I mean, it's small, but it can happen. So that's why they have that on there, to hold the spring guide nice and straight. And this is a 4mm threading, I believe, in this guy. Yeah, it's 4mm metric. So if you lose this, get a 4mm bolt and put some washers on it, because it's just good to have to prevent damage to the gearbox. And here we have a 6mm Allen. So we're going to stick an Allen wrench in there and just a 90-degree turn. Oop, did I turn that past 90? Probably, because I'm on camera and stuff like that happens. There we go. So there's your spring and guide. It's a Delrin shaft with a washer and a metal screw in the back and metal back plate. Delrin's nice and slick, so it helps the spring slide on it. Let's put it together. This will make for some interesting, boring video here of me just slowly screwing the screw into a hole here. Come on. There we go. And did I mention these guns have a 1-year warranty? And Elite Force is really good about warranty service. If they, you know, you send it to them. I know the turnaround is, it can be a few weeks or so, but they're generally pretty good about it. And they've sent us parts to fix stuff too for customers' guns. They, you know, even stuff that's like out of warranty, they've been really good with their customer service. And they're just in Arkansas too, which is not too far. They're really good guys there. So let's put this pin back in. You know what we need to do, other than drop that on the floor? We need to take the stock, pull up and off because it won't really align the hole with the tension of that stock on there. And put that back in there. Hey, look at that. My hands are now greasy from holding that spring guide. So there's that. I guess I can put in some footage of the chrono here. It's shot between 340 and 350. It's listed as having 345 FPS on the box. And it's pretty consistent, which is good for a gun fresh out of the box. It'll get better as it goes. Usually it takes a high cap or two to break in the hop-up buckings of rubber. And as you see, it's also about 750 rounds per second with a 7.4. It's not too bad. I usually do a 9.6, but I didn't have one charged, so I did the comparison with the 7.4. And you know, speaking of 7.4, I can show you how to put the battery in. So let's pop this pin out. Stick that in here. And you just slide this off. You can see, very narrow in there. Fit in a flash hider. But it should fit most flash hiders that are narrow. I know with the Noveski amplifiers have trouble fitting in there. Some people have just kind of radiused where it kind of hits it. So, but that's nice and solid. So we have our 7.4 here. It's a Valken 7.4 1600. Sorry, Elite Force, and I'm using a Valken battery. They recommend using at least a 9.6. The 7.4 is roughly equivalent to a 9.6 discharge-wise, so it should be fine. Oh, speaking of that too, I should get to that after this, because it's sort of something that's interesting, so we'll get to that after this. You can fit a 9.6 in here easily. You can fit probably a longer 7.4, but normally those 7.4s get fatter as they get more milliamps. So hook this up right there and kind of tuck that kind of out of the way. And you can see there's some grooves here and the corresponding tabs inside there. So it's easier when it's upside down. If you have it on the side, it's a little tougher to do. If you do it a few times, you get used to it and should be a pro at putting the battery in no time at all. So I just want to make sure we don't snag the wires. And just push back, and there we go. Fits in there nice. So easily fit a 9.6 1600 milliamp battery in there. You know, whatever you want. Because being this computerized gearbox, it has some features that are pretty neat, but unfortunately require a programmer to do it. As I said, this is made by Ares, and it uses the Ares EFCS, I believe it's called, system. So you can program the computer in the gearbox, the chip in the gearbox. So you can program it to be, though if there's a LiPo in it, so you can program it for like a 7.4 battery, so you don't accidentally drain your 7.4 LiPo battery all the way, or you can even program it for an 11.1 LiPo battery, which is pretty cool. So you should be able to use an 11.1 on this, even though it doesn't say in the manual about using 11.1. Ares says, yes, you could use an 11.1. I wouldn't use anything crazy, you know. I would just use a standard sort of Airsoft grade 11.1 if you were to do it. But you can program it with the EFCS tuner. It looks like a green sort of box, and it's got knobs on it to adjust. You know, you can adjust the burst and all that too on that. But it's not really available in the United States. Elite Force doesn't carry it. Elite Force Umarex, the same company. They don't carry that, which is kind of a bummer, but it's also $50, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about it. I've yet to get one. I figure if I get one, it'll probably be for the store. If people want me to program their guns, I just program it for them. Because I can't see someone getting a $50 accessory just to program their gun once for LiPo protection. It doesn't make sense. But that just hooks up to the battery connector and it programs it. And I don't think the last place I saw one was like Red Wolf. You know, ASGI, Evike didn't have them. My local or my distributors didn't have them. So if you have that, good. You know, if you have like a bunch of Ares guns like their SR-15 and the Amoebas and all that, maybe it's worth getting a $50 tuner for it, but as it is now, it's set for the NiCad setting, nickel metal setting, so it doesn't have LiPo cutoff. But it is available if you do get that tuner. But hey, you know, this gun, pretty awesome. Ares kind of has sort of a checkered sort of history and reliability on certain guns, but we've always had good luck here at the store with the G36s in particular, especially the Ares built ones, and the Kitted Away built ones are very nice too. The S&T version of this, which they had a few years ago, had some teething issues. They used a piston that wasn't really a good quality piston for what they were shooting on that. But, you know, that's in the past, and when you swapped out the piston on those were good guns. But this should be a good gun in the future, you know, judging by the pedigree of the previous G36s. So, if you like this review, like, you know, comment, subscribe, say I mispronounced some German word wrong, even though I didn't say Heckler and Koch at all during this video.